Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. My sincere appreciation to the organizers who have asked me to deliver a keynote address for this event. I was informed that this forum focuses on the economy, and this subject matter is somewhat far from my job as a minister in charge of Parliament and law. However, I take it as a challenge to convince all of you here today that the reform agenda I propose is very much related to the economy and our everyday lives. Ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia has been bombarded continuously with issues ranging from health crisis to political instability, all leading up to economic volatility. I must say that the people are rather tired of all this and are looking for change so that we can move on with their life. When I took office on the 30th August 2021, I was very certain of change agenda. This is because my 30 years of being in public service has given me the insight to the recognized problem and issues as well as provide solution for them. This country needs some bold reform, help to propel us back to not only normalcy but beyond that, while we are fighting to restore the healthcare system so that rakyat is not being negatively impacted. We are also fighting to ensure economic stability during this unprecedented time. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to draw your attention to the roles of the good governance and effective institutional mechanism in ensuring economic prosperity for Malaysia. In our effort to restore stability, we must not forget the importance of constitutional supremacy and parliamentary democracy. Constitutional supremacy is a significant factor in countries' improvement. The concept constitutional supremacy is provided by Article 4(1) of the Federal Constitution. The powers of Parliament are also enshrined in the Constitution. Therefore, it is our duty to ensure that parliamentary democracy is always maintained. At this juncture, allow me to stress the importance of holding the rules of law, as mentioned by Aristotle. The law should govern. The rule of law is a critical factor for the advancement of democracy. By strengthening the rule of law, we protect the right of all people, advance inclusive, and limit the arbitrary exercise of power. The rule of law also includes democratic reform, and that is exactly what the government of the day is doing. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to explain a little bit more about a few of the reform agenda I have in mind, which I believe will play an important role in economic prosperity. Parliamentary reform, the role of Parliament in maintaining political stability, enhancing integrity, and strengthening its role as an effective check and balance mechanism to the government is vital. Therefore, I believe that transformation of Parliament is of paramount importance as it helps in not only restoring political stability but enable us to handle the COVID-19 pandemic effectively. They provide resilience to the community and businesses in dealing with the current economic situation. Having said that, there are several reforms that I wish to introduce, which I believe will bring substantial changes in the administration of the Parliament. First, the Enactment of Parliamentary Service Act. This act was first enacted in 1963 and had allowed Parliament to act as a truly independent body, running its own affairs, selecting its staff, and controlling its budget and expenditure. However, it was repealed in 1992, with parliamentary affairs subsequently being placed directly under the Prime Minister's department. I believe it is important for this legislation to be reenacted, allowing a full independence for the Parliament and ensuring the August House uphold the separation of powers between the executive, legislative, and judiciary. It also allows law to be better scrutinized where parliamentary democracy is maintained through strengthening Parliamentary Select Committee. 2. House of Parliament Privilege and Powers Act 1952. There is a need to amend this law since it can be considered an archaic law. Issues pertaining to powers and privilege of House of Parliament need to be revisited and has to be fit for the purpose. The Parliament has a right to make its own rules and has unquestioned authority over the procedures it employs over its members. This includes code of ethics that can be introduced and enforced through the House Parliament Privilege and Powers Act. The introduction of code of ethics will ensure good behavior and integrity among members of the House. These rights are an essential element not only to ensure Parliament independence, but also to ensure its credibility, earn trust and confidence from the people. Law reform, ladies and gentlemen, besides the above parliamentary reform, there is an immediate need for law reform in order to ensure confidence and good governance in Malaysia. I must stress that there are many laws that require reform. However, following are the few reforms that I consider important at this point in time. Firstly, the anti-hopping law. Anti-hopping laws are required in order to enhance political stability, public confidence, and in democratic process and ensure respect for the decision made by electorates. There are already countries in the world like India, Singapore, and the United Kingdom that have anti-hopping, anti-defects law or amendment to related laws, including the constitution that provides for expulsion or vacation of seat of hoppers. In Malaysia, we need proper and adequate engagement on what is actually required for our country. This, I must say, is not an easy task. Political parties all over have their own views and opinion on this matter. Another thing is the limiting of the Prime Minister's term of office, but not more than 10 years. This is important reform as it provides assurance to the rakyat, the people, that no one person can stay in office for too long. It also reduces possibility of corruption, other action like nepotism and cronyism. This also allows for change leadership, policy making, provide opportunity for fresh ideas and healthy competition while strengthening democracy. In Malaysia, this is a constitutional amendment requires a 2/3 majority support in Dewan Rakyat. As such, the buy-in from all quarters is important to move this reform forward. Thirdly, implementation of voting age of 18 years old and automatic registration of voters. The Parliament had on the 16th, 2019 passed a voting age in Malaysia to 18 years old. However, there are many technical and legal impediments that hinder this implementation. The recent High Court ruling in Sarawak on the 3rd September 2021 decided that the government needs to fulfill its duty by implementing the voting age of Malaysia to 18 years old and the automatic registration of voters to be done simultaneously by the 31st of December 2021. I had also mentioned in Parliament on the 21st September 2021 that the government will fulfill this decision. The Election Commission of Malaysia is working very hard to ensure the 18 years old voting age and automatic registration of voters can be done by the given time frame. This includes amending subsidiary legislations, ensuring logistical and infrastructural requirements all over Malaysia in place. Fourthly, the constitutional amendment in line with the Malaysia Agreement 1963. The government has been negotiating on many issues under Malaysia's Agreement 1963. However, I believe there has been some substantial achievement that came out of this negotiation. But my focus as a minister in charge of law is to look at substantial legislative amendment to the Constitution which would provide clarity to the position of Sabah and Sarawak, as well as the people, particularly the native of Sabah and Sarawak. Over the years, there has been erosion in Sabah and Sarawak's rights stated in the Malaysia Agreement 1963. Among them include what has been stated in Article 1(2) on the Constitution of Federal Constitution, the state of the Federation. I see this as a top priority to be amended. However, amendment to this particular article alone is not enough to really enshrine the spirit of Malaysia Agreement 1963 without amending Article 160(2), that is the interpretation of the Federation. Further, there are some problems in Article 161(a)(6) and 161(a)(7), definition of term native in 1963. Then in 1993, the research was not complete. Therefore, what is being spelled out in the Constitution was definitely far from correct. This ought to be amended in order to give confidence to people of Sarawak and Sabah in determining who the natives and who are not within the context of the Federal Constitution. These are also constitutional amendment that requires 2/3 majority support in Dewan Rakyat, and for this, further negotiation understanding is required between the federal government and both states of Sabah and Sarawak. The government is for rakyat. Ladies and gentlemen, it makes me ponder, not as a politician, but as an ordinary citizen, what does the rakyat want? The people want transparency, accountability, and trustworthy government that delivers. This is no normal situation. We are all caught in the global crisis, and the people are only hopeful that whoever runs the country is also able to give them back their freedom, their happiness, and their lives. Economically, the people have lost their job, their livelihood, and mental health have been affected greatly. The previous Perikatan National Government had initiated several reforms and assistance, namely temporary measures to reducing the impact of COVID-19, Act 2020, and the setting up of the National COVID-19 Mediation Center to help the rakyat solve contractual dispute. These initiatives are under my purview as a minister in charge of law. Besides, the government has continuously been introducing various stimulus packages that could assist and reduce economic impact felt by the people at this trying time. Numerous versions of lockdown and standard operating procedure were introduced to ensure that the people stay safe and protected. Ladies and gentlemen, the current government will do more for the rakyat, and we believe to do that we need the support from all quarters. The last thing the people want is political bickering, backbiting. What they want is a caring government that think about restoring the country back to normalcy again. As you may be aware, in pursuit to restore political stability, the government signed a memorandum of understanding with the opposition on the 13th September 2021. The government believes this will bring lawmakers together to discuss issues that are of importance to the people, especially in tackling the effects of COVID-19. This also paves the way for bipartisan involvement where politicians put their differences aside to discuss, give views and suggestions for the benefit of the people and country. I must say this is a step one of a kind in history of Malaysia, and it is done solely to the benefit of the rakyat who have been badly affected by the effects of the pandemic, both economically, socially. Ladies and gentlemen, transformation in the government sector embodies novel values and solidarity across religious, racial, and cultural background in the context of Keluarga Malaysia. Malaysia's immediate priority is to sustain the management of the ongoing pandemic and its effect on individuals and households and businesses. Protecting the life and health of citizens is vital to ensure a safe resumption of economic activities and the prevention of a protracted economic downturn. The current government will continue to deliver more for the people, and my role as a minister in charge of the portfolio of Parliament and Law is to ensure that there is a political stability through good governance and parliamentary democracy. This will ensure that the government continues to make sound policies that would serve the people and provide them economic and social benefit with minimum obstacle. With this, I call upon all of you here today to support and work with the government toward a better tomorrow. Thank you.